Hey there, guys. My name's Rock, Florida. I'm currently a practicing professional real estate agent in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And early last week, I made a phone call to a for sale by owner, and within 15 minutes, saved her over $4,800. And I decided it's time to start teaching more people at one time. Um, I've been practicing real estate in Fayetteville for 17 years. And before that, I was a business broker helping people sell their privately held businesses. Also did a long stint of selling subscriptions door to door. Before that, discovered I was really effective at just selling things to people that already really wanted it. And a little bit about me, a little background. I wanted to share that in the background that I have behind me here, that I was raised not far from there. I was raised rather unconventionally. My family moved in the mid to late 70s back to the land. I was raised no electric, no running water, no phone, no joke. Subject to that, I believe I've learned a lot about unconventional lifestyle and solution generation. Um, I also was a professional fiddle player in those years, and also am a U.S. Army veteran. And so I like to consider myself a bit of a conservative hippie, actually. I like to do things that work, and I like to assess, adapt, and overcome to things that are either outdated or just need to change. And the real estate industry, in my humble but highly accurate opinion, is set for disruption. So here I am. I'm going to make it a point to undertake that a little more proactively. I'm a top producing, I'm in the top 10% of all real estate agents in Northwest Arkansas every year. In 2003, I was a Rookie of the Year for ERA here locally, and have always been someone who could actually make it happen. And along the way, I've run into some issues with the industry that I am not comfortable with. As far as how the industry practices and how the consumer in today's marketplace is more educated, more able to do more on their own. The technological advances that we've had have definitely made it more accessible for folks to find their own properties. Buyers, on the majority, find their own properties, and sellers can market their property. What I'm doing here currently is hopefully teaching you some stuff that you may have wished you would have known prior to getting into the process. Since 2008, I've always been a bit of an altruist, and I firmly believe in the Zig Ziglar mindset of, if I can help enough people get what they want, I get what I need. And I've applied that method to all my prospecting through the years, and have honed in on the niche of for sale by owners for over 15 years. They've been a growing and growing share of the marketplace, and what I've done for years is call them up and help them achieve their objective, maximize their profit and minimize their stress, and teach them a few things. So what I'm doing here today is I'm just going to put in a can all the basics. You have a home or a property that you're interested in selling. And before plugging it into Zillow, there's a few things that you would be well advised to know. And a couple things before that. Zillow makes their living off of the paid real estate agent bobbleheads at the bottom of the posting. If you post your home for sale by owner, the majority share of capital that real estate agents expend in the marketplace on real estate anymore is on lead acquisition. The whole name of the game for real estate brokerages at large is not the most effective, productive form of marketing properties, but expending their revenue on leads, buyers that are looking for properties, sellers that may be looking to sell. So Zillow does make a living off of for sale by owners and listings that they've syndicated from various MLSs. They monetize Zillow by actually charging real estate agents for placement in the queue for leads that come through that platform. And a whole lot of what people are trying to do when they're trying to sell their home for sale by owner is to save money, do it themselves. There's several different types of buyers, but the majority of sellers, the majority of sellers would just like to save 3 to 6%. They would like to connect with the buyer directly. And the industry standards for about 75 years or so, okay? When you ask people how much it costs to sell their home, there's a couple different responses. Some folks really don't know. They don't know what the average percentage is. They may throw out a number like 2, 3, 6, 10%. They don't know. They have an idea. And then there's those that state that it's 6% is the standard. And part of the history about how that initiated was back in the mid 40s, a bunch of brokerages in New York, the New York Board of Realtors at that time, they all colluded. They got together and they said, hey, let's not compete against each other. Let's fix our fees at 6% and we'll just go out there and do business, and that be the stated fee that we're going to charge. And there was a lot going on in the 40s, and the courts didn't get around to actually refuting that issue until the early 50s, when it was actually outlawed. It was deemed price fixing. And ever since then, since the early 50s, it has merely been suggested at 6%. Everything in business is always negotiable. And one of the things I'm doing here is I want to teach people how to properly package and promote their own property, how to preserve, protect, and promote your interest. I took an oath to do that when I became a member of the National Association of Realtors. I took an oath to preserve and protect and promote the interest of my client, not the interest of my brokerage, not the interest of the industry, not my own interests. And to that end, I want to start teaching you what it is that you should know, preferably before you acquire a buyer or a buyer's agent for your home. Okay, so a lot of people, I've been doing this for 12 years specifically, since 2008, when people couldn't afford 6%. I was helping them create variable commission structures, different flat fee models. I was doing whatever I could to help people sell their properties without having to write too big of a check. The only people that are guaranteed to make money on real estate are agents, usually, guaranteed, right? There were times back there in 2008, 9, 10, 11, when a lot of people were writing checks to sell their home. And so I started trying to figure out how I could help serve them and still make a living that was a reasonable wage and provide them a service without being held captive to the standards. So as a for sale by owner, I want to teach you to have first a defender mindset. You're defending your property, okay? And when I call for sale by owners up, and I call them, they just posted on Zillow, and I call them up and I give them a couple pointers about how to deal with the industry as it's about to be all up in their business. I call them up and I say, hey, here's a couple things you need to fix. And by the way, when a buyer's agency calls, when a buyer's agent calls you, and they may have your highest and best buyer, and they suggest that they're worth 3%, will you cooperate with them at that rate? I have three different types of people, three different types of responses to that. No, I won't. That shuts the door. There is no relationship to engage beyond no, okay? I have folks that say, yes, we'll pay 3%, gladly, okay? And then there's the majority of them say, well, it depends on the deal. I have to get a certain amount, and we'll negotiate that. And I'm going to go through some common mistakes that people make when posting their property on Zillow, okay? Whether you're the type that says no, whether you're the type that says yes, 3% is great, or whether you're the type that feels like you'll negotiate that with the buyer or the agent whenever the offers start flying, okay? So some common mistakes always in Zillow is one of the things that you're attempting to, and any posting, whether you're posting it on social media, your home for sale on Zillow, social media, Nextdoor, Craigslist, or putting it in the newspaper, right? What you're attempting to do, I'm assuming, is you're trying to engage the buyer directly. You don't want to deal with an agent. A lot more buyers these days don't want to deal with the agent. They call listing agents up directly, or they call the seller up directly. And one of the common mistakes in posting it on Zillow or with any other platform is called lack of self-representation. Okay. You have to, in trying to attempt to engage the buyer directly, at the very top of your posting, you should put some asterisk to bullet point the information that says, hey, my name's Joe Smith. This is my home. If you'd like more information about it, please feel free to call me at this number. Okay? People don't read much anymore. They're not going to read a whole lot of your flowery narrative that says that this is a wonderfully updated 4-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage. They don't read much anymore. You have to get their attention right at the get-go and let them know you're a person. You're the person that actually has what they want. And another really good idea is to not put your personal phone number and email in there. Because remember, real estate agencies at large are in the business of lead generation. You can get a Google Voice number. You can get a Gmail account set up just specifically for the purpose of doing the business of selling your home. Unless you want a bunch of real estate agents calling you up trying to list your property and put you in their lead generation pipeline. Okay. The other thing is knowing how to deal with your buyer. When they call you up, what are you going to respond? We are developing the course, an entirely dedicated course for the complete how to sell your home on your own package that's going to include the scripts and all the forms and things that you need to have an idea of how best to convert your own leads. When the buyer calls you directly, you know, rather than just getting all kinds of excited that somebody wants to see your house or concerned that you don't know who they are, there's a way to go about vetting them, qualifying them, and asking them a few questions, you know, asking them a few basic questions like, have you been looking for very long? Where are you moving here from? Okay. But knowing how to deal with your buyer more directly. And again, when they call you or email you for that information, right, you need to get their phone number and their email so that you can send them your due diligence package. You would be well advised to have all the materials together for your home offering. But one of the biggest mistakes that people make is when the buyer's agents start calling within a few hours of them having posted it. And buyer's agents start calling them up and saying, hey, I've got somebody who'd be interested in your property. Will you pay me 3%? Right? Remember, you can respond no, and that shuts the door. Okay. You can say, yes, sure. Okay. There's some things you need to know about if you do agree to 3%. Okay. How that transaction, that agreement is supposed to be reduced to writing, or it depends, right? Whichever one of those you are, when that buyer's agent calls you and suggests they're worth 3%, it's your call. You can play the game their way and say, sure, 3%. Or we suggest that, yeah, there's a value to a buyer's agent. They have all the forms, they have the relationships, they have the third-party service providers that are going to help walk us through this process. We stipulate that it's about a $5,000 value on average, right? You can say 5,000, you fix a flat fee. What you're trying to do is protect your net profit margin. That's not negotiable. You have to have X amount out of the proceeds of the sale of your house to do whatever your objective is. And that's what you're in the position to preserve, protect, and promote. So to that end, you have to establish how much that service provision is worth value to you out of the equity of your home. Now, we're not going to go into this at this point, but the buyer pays for everything. Okay. Sellers operate out of equity. The difference between what is owed and what it's worth. Buyers come with capital. They come with the cash. They come with the mortgaged, product that's going to liquidate that asset. But when you're dealing with a buyer's agent, and this is how one of the ways I saved a lady $4,800 last week was I just taught her. I was like, you can, that's up to you. She was of the mind to say, yes, we're willing to pay 3%, right? And she was offering a $480,000 home. And I said, well, you don't have to. The standard, the tradition in Washington County, Arkansas here is 2.7. that right there, 0.3%. One of the reasons I believe commission sales is so terminal in this industry, and one of the reasons I believe that we still utilize the term percentage is 0.3% doesn't sound like that much, 2.7%, but 0.3% of 480,000 is, oh shucks, I should have done the math before I got on here, right? But it's about $1,400. Okay, if she had said 2.5%, 0.5% doesn't sound like much. Percentage doesn't sound nearly as painful as dollars, right? 2.5%, that'd be $2,400 saved out of her equity, more in her pocket to buy her child a car when they get their license or whatever. It's real money in percentage points. But she decided to just say 2% because I coached her a little bit and just said 2%. Still paying $9,600, almost 5 figures, to the real estate agent that's cooperating with them. Okay, but again, just a little knowledge about how to deal with the buyer's agencies and how to negotiate from a stronger, more informed position. They're also supposed to do some other things to reduce that to writing. But again, most common mistakes are self-representation and making sure that you are the one getting the calls. 2 is dealing with the buyers or the buyer's agency scripts. What are you going to say when you're being have a lead generated? And the 3rd is your pricing strategy. Now, the lady that marketed her property at $480,000 and was blown away with how much traffic she was getting. The 3rd most common mistake is pricing strategy. In this day and age, you have to think like a search engine. And 480, there's probably 200 people in the east side of Fayetteville, Arkansas. They're looking for a property between $350,000 and $500,000. Right? They set up a search, they save the search, and every time that they get a property hits the market that looks like something they're looking for at $480,000, now they're really looking for a home more around $450,000. And one of the things where in their pricing model, they should have priced it right at $500,000, because there's probably 120 people that are looking for properties from $500,000 to $650,000 on the east side of Fayetteville that never saw them, right? Because they were priced under the bracket. And pricing mistakes are some of the biggest blunders that I see. I had a young man that was selling a home, and this was back in like 2008 or 9. It was right about the time stuff had shifted really hard. He'd been out there for a week or 10 days marketing the property at $144,000. And I called him up and I said, hey, you're undervaluing your property. You're missing your biggest share of the market by being priced under the bracket. I said, if you price it at $150,000, not $149,900, not $152,000, right at $150,000, you're going to pick up everybody that's looking from $100,000 to $150,000, which you've already depleted that particular bracket. And you'll also capture the interest of the $150,000 to $200,000 club. He was under contract within 2 days after having done that, and ended up selling it for $4,000 more than he was initially asking for it. So I'd say that's a big mistake, mispricing your property. Another thing, the 4th issue, common mistake, posting a property on Zillow, is putting all those photos, whether you took the photos, whether you got professional photos, whatever you went through as far as developing photos to post. Most people put too many of them. Back when I started in this industry back in 2002 and 3, you always left critical information out of your paper flyers that you left out at the curbside. And those either consisted of the price or the square footage. right? You left out one of those so that they would have a reason to call you. You have to have some critical information that they need, so they need to call you. Okay, so if you put too many photos in there, they'll make a purchasing decision. Look through your photos, they're going to be looking through little 1.5 by 2-inch little squares and say, well, that bathroom looks way too small, and they'll make a purchasing decision and move on, never even come in to look at the house, right? Never engage you. And so if you just put your 4 or 5, 6 max best character eluding images that will capture their attention, engage their imagination, and give them a compelling reason to reach out for you. Speaking of captivating images, I'm going to give a shout out to Jason Wiles, a buddy of mine who's a practicing real estate agent who is also a professional photographer. And one of the reasons I chose this photo, he's given me permission to use it, but images are everything. Telling a story is everything. And that's his daughter, Adrian, right there. Right there's Adrian. Hey, Adrian. And I thought it was a captive image, a good image to use for the purposes of this is my land. You know, this is the land that I was raised in, this area as well. But also to picture somebody at the edge of a precipice about to jump off, and images can tell a pretty neat story sometimes. And another common mistake, and this is the 5th that I'll share today, but one of the most common mistakes of for sale by owners is, they're looking for a buyer, right? They just want a buyer. They just want whoever wants to next love their home, that's willing to pay the most for it in the shortest period of time. And it is astounding to me how many times people go into this process and they do not control many of the tools and the processes. And it's so simple. Okay, you have to have an offer form handy. It's really simple. You're looking for a contract with a buyer who's willing to pay X amount of dollars in X amount of days after they get X amount of financing. Why? Because you're done with it and you need an offer form to reduce that transaction to writing, right? So many people are scared of the forms. They don't know what the processes are engaged with making an offer, the inspection period, the repairs requests, the other third-party services that are going to come along. And it's really not that difficult. An offer consists of 5 items, just so you know, okay? And you can get one from Office Depot, residential real estate offer, get one from Office Depot, Rocket Lawyer, LegalZoom, whatever. But an offer a contract consists of 5 elements. It has a date on it, has the names of the parties involved in the process. It has the identity of the location, the address in this case, the price that is agreed upon, and signatures. That's it. Those 5 items and you got a contract. And many people don't even have they stick their house out there, stick a sign in the yard, and they don't have an offer form. They'll have buyers come up and they'll show the house, and buyers are an interesting, they're an interesting character, because oftentimes they know what they want, sometimes they don't. And real estate is a very emotive process. And so what you would be well advised to go ahead and have ready is the offer form. When buyers come through and they're fawning over your property and they love it and they think that it would work great for them, it's so empowering of you to just take an offer form and say, listen, tell us what you think. We'd be honored to receive your offer in writing. We've been getting a lot of activity, whatever you want to say, as far as that script goes, which you might want to be prepared in that as well. But we'd be honored to receive an offer. Here's an offer form for you that we have had, that we've reviewed, or that we've had our legal counsel review, or whatever. If you don't have one, here you go. Just take it home, sleep on it, fill it out, sign it. Maybe will be a great place to start. Okay. So there's 5 common mistakes. And then I'm also wanting to teach you a little bit about starting with the end in mind. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to Old Wolf Barbershop. I can't wait. I have an appointment Wednesday. So if you see me sitting here being a little insecure with my COVID hair, this is 2 months into the Corona lockdown, and I'm just going to do it anyway. So, but start with the end in mind. Okay. Go to your favorite title company. Check out your title companies. Oftentimes, your local title companies price that what they're offering, right? You're going to need a title insurance policy to sell the deed to your property. If you check in with them, they may be able to provide you said offer form, right? You'll also want to have whoever you prefer as legal counsel available. And you're also going to want to do your pre-marketing preparation. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I can give you a checklist of everything you should have to make a proper due diligence package for your property. You're going to have a seller's property disclosure. It's great to have utilities averages for a prospective buyer. It's good to have any property owners association or covenants or restrictions. So doing your pre-marketing preparation. And getting a pre-inspection. Getting your houses are like people. They're messed up, right? In various ways, shapes, and forms, right? So paying $350, $450 or whatever to have your home pre-inspected has saved more money and headaches for sellers midway through the process of having the contract on their home, because it's always going to come out. And it's better if you know at the front end what is wrong with the property before marketing the property. So you can fix what you choose to fix and sit there and disclose to the buyer and say, we already know that these window screens are out and that we're not going to replace them. Just, if you want to find whatever it is. And there's a lot to pre-marketing preparation. Okay. You spent a lot of time, money, energy, and resources on improving that property, or not while you've owned it. But, being able to document that and being able to disclose that to the buyer so they can see the value of what it is that you're offering. There's also consider alternative marketing options. I have sold more homes in the past 3 years. I left RE/MAX 5.5 years ago to develop a disruptive brokerage model, to develop flat fees, a more exceptional service for a more reasonable value. And throughout testing all the market and the price points and such like that, I discovered a lot of options to marketing a property that were much more effective, profitable, and reduce the stress of my sellers exceptionally. You don't have to have thousands of people looking at your property to sell it for the most. You want the one highest and best buyer, right? And thousands of people looking at it may not be the right answer, right? But if you know you want to sell your home next June, and you start promoting it selectively. Real estate's local, right? Okay. And it doesn't matter how small the world gets and how advanced technology gets to how many thousands of people you can have looking at it inside 24 hours. If you know you're going to be selling it next June, we've proven this, that we've sold more houses through Facebook Marketplace and through Facebook and other social media platforms than we have on the MLS in the past 3 years. It's a different marketplace. So just making sure you know what you have, putting a reasonable offering price on it. Always ask more than you expect to get and offer less than you're willing to give. And then just start telling your sphere of influence, your social circle, right? Start promoting it selectively out there. There's all kinds of marketing options. Guerrilla marketing, for crying out loud. You can make a flyer and hang it up at your local Whole Foods or natural food store, or whoever your best psychographic, highest and best buyer type is going to be. You can actually target into that particular sphere. You can start promoting it through your HR resources through the various companies in your area. And you can also, one thing that real estate agents cannot do, here in Arkansas anyway, is incentivize your sphere of influence. You want to watch your property go viral when you post it on Zillow, right? You get out there and you just say, hey, everybody, we're selling our house. And if you are responsible for providing the buyer, we gladly pay you a referral fee of $500. And you watch just how many folks remember you are on the market at their next water cooler session, right? So there is a lot that has changed, but there are a lot of things you may want to know about how to craft your representation and to protect your interest. And then the last thing I really want to talk about here is, now you've got a buyer. Got a buyer? Now what? Right? What are you going to do now? Okay, like a dog chasing a truck. What are you going to do when you catch it? Right? So you got a buyer, and everybody gets so happy when they get a contract on their house. Oh, you had the offer form, you got the buyer engaged, they wrote it up, you agreed on a deal. Well, you got to sell it 3 times. Okay, you just crossed the first hurdle. You sold it to the buyer, right? And then you've got to sell it to an inspector. See the pre-inspection portion of this program, right? But you got to get it past the inspection and repairs process, and it's got to get past the appraiser. Okay, and there are some basics of negotiation that a lot of people really don't know. Okay, some of those are, ask more than you expect to get, offer less than you're willing to give. Right, buyers are going to possibly be coming in lowballing you. Right, you're going to be priced out there at, say, $350,000. And some buyers are going to come in there at $300,000, and you're going to get offended and you're going to want to reject the offer, right? And you're never going to know if you reject it. Excuse me. Well, don't, right? Who knows? They're offering less than they're willing to give, right? And they may be interested in paying full price, but there may be some terms involved with that. They may want 3% closing costs and prepaids, a home warranty. They may want your fridge, your washer, your dryer. You have to know what your net need needs to be, and then just counter, right? But you have to not take it personally. I've seen more people react rather than respond. Okay, just because you're offering $350 also doesn't make it worth $350. Market value, really. And by the way, do not use the term priced under market value. All right. If you ever see a real estate agent that's doing that, right, or marketing properties at $199.9 or $299.9, you're dealing with 20th century marketing model, right? You cannot market something under market value. Market value is what the market's going to pay for it, and that'll predicate that. So just because you're offering $350, you really need to start listening to the marketplace. And if they tell you 300,000, 300,000, 300,000, 300,000, then it's either time or money. It'll be worth $350 someday. It's real estate. It'll continue to appreciate. But also, if they came in at 300, they may be looking to bracket you, right? They may be wanting to meet in the middle. Does that meet your net objective? I don't know, you know. And being prepared for repairs and terms margin. You have to build that into your pricing platform. And one thing about maybe the highest and best case, and then I'll leave off after this, but the lady I was referring to earlier that saved her $4,800 by just offering a 2% co-op. She was in a position that she was anticipating multiple offers and didn't know how to deal with it. And I said, well, it's real simple. I said, in a multiple offer configuration, if you should be so blessed as to get into something like that, what a real estate agent's going to do most of the time is going to acknowledge, oh, we've got 2 or more offers, and you're going to go back to the parties that presented those offers and just inform them, right? We have a multiple offer configuration here. And what I recommend you do at this point is produce your highest and best offer, right? And highest and best offer takes on different shapes and sizes. You may have met the buyers, or you may have an idea of who you think they are, or their qualifications or what, but you want to give them an opportunity to produce their highest and best offer. That is an ideal configuration. And I guess that's it for today. I am going to be packaging up an entire video course series on how to do this, how to sell your property on your own, real estate without agents. And if I can help you in any way, shape, or form, never hesitate to call. I'm here to serve. And yeah, just subscribe, like. I'll be posting this on YouTube, and really look forward to doing what I can to help y'all meet or exceed your goals and expectations. Make it a beautiful day. Bye.